Well, hello, everyone. This is Tracee Randall, and my oh my, how excited am I tonight because it has been way too long for this coming. I am so honored to be interviewing the founder of the American Anti-Cancer Institute. Most of you, many of you here know him, heard of him, and have read his book, Killing Cancer, Not People. And if you haven't, you should. So excited because Bob and I had been doing some interviews in the fall, and it's been just a while, hasn't it, Bob?
It has been a while, and I'm getting older, so we knew we had to move these up.
Well, we are so glad to have you back online with us. We've had some computer glitches, some technical difficulties for quite a while. You've been busy traveling all over the country, all over the world over the past few months, the last quarter of 2018. And so we're so glad to have you back and right here where your fans are who know and love you.
My fans, huh? I actually have fans.
You know you've got fans.
Well, that's good to hear. And yeah, we did a little traveling last year, and of course highlighted by the big trip to Southeast Asia, where we went to Singapore and Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and we went to mainland China and Hong Kong as well. And so, we're really making a concerted effort to go anywhere we can to get the word out and to get the book in people's hands, because we know that it changes lives, and people everywhere in the world struggle and suffer with the same thing we do here in America. I mean, they have traditional allopathic hospitals. They have similar diets to what ours are, and they're bombarded daily with Wi-Fi and radiation and chemicals and everything else. So it's pretty much the same around the world. So we all have a need, and so we're trying to track that and get out there and see everyone we can.
Absolutely. And you did well. I know you spoke to thousands and thousands of people, and they were lined up to talk to you. And you're so approachable when you speak in public, and will stay as long as people are willing to or want you to. And I know you spoke with many people there about their own, either themselves or their family members' health concerns. So much cancer out there, and you're so patient and good to do that. And I love that about you, Bob, and I know that everyone else does as well.
Well, everyone deserves an opportunity, and there's no malady too small or one too large that we don't want to confront. And so we try and give everyone the respect they deserve. As time allows, we want to talk to everyone. And so you're right. We have a habit of that, staying till midnight and talking to people individually. And yeah, we get a little bit tired, but this is important stuff. And so we take the time, and I think people really appreciate that.
They absolutely do. And, I know that I said before that this is your place right here on Facebook. You've got thousands and thousands of followers. It has been a little quiet on Facebook because they haven't seen your face, but that's about to change. We're committed to doing a live interview every Monday night, as long as, and we'll announce it if anything changes with Bob's schedule or he's out of town or something, at the same time, 7 p.m. Eastern time, so that we can get back on track to helping as many people as we can. And just really excited about the opportunity to do that, Bob. So.
Yeah, as am I. And I would like just to put in a little aside here, and that's that people who have questions that are medical or technical or something like that, or want to send files and doctor's reports, things like that, don't post them or paste them or anything like that on Facebook. Send them directly to me, and that's just to the info@americanaci.org. And that way I can get them immediately, and the question doesn't hang out there for a long period of time, because we want to answer in real time. We know how important it is.
Absolutely. Thanks for clarifying that. It's so important. And you are very faithful to respond very quickly. I see that we have people joining us from all over the country. When you go back and watch the interview, you'll see some familiar faces and hopefully some new ones as well, Bob. So, we've been teasing a little bit, and probably everyone's sitting on the edge of their seats because as we were promoting that you'd be back live, we talked about a big announcement, and I am very excited for you to share publicly for the first time. I believe it will be the first time, won't it? You haven't shared at any conference or anything yet. You haven't been speaking anywhere since this kind of came about or was resolved. So super excited and honored to be sharing the platform with you tonight, where you're going to share your big announcement. So we are ready when you are, Bob.
So first of all, does this have to do with my upcoming birthday? It's not about that. That wasn't it, was it?
We love you, Bob, and happy birthday coming up. But no, that's not it. That's not what we're waiting for.
Okay, I get it. And actually, that's a ways off. So we don't want to get going on that yet. Some of you already know actually what we're going to announce today, because we did put it in the newsletter for those of you reading our newsletter. And if you aren't, it's free, folks. There's no reason for not signing up, and it comes to you automatically around the first of the month electronically. So just go to our website, theamericanaci.org, and just scroll down and you can sign up where it says here for the right stuff. Please do that, and you'll get this newsletter every month, and it's generally, I hope, chock full of good information that you can utilize all the time. So our announcement is that I've been working pretty hard, especially over the last 4 months, to complete the 4th edition of the book, Killing Cancer, Not People. And the reason I do this is because it really, things seem to change so rapidly in this industry that we call cancer. I think it's pretty sad that we have to call cancer an industry or a business, but when you think about it in a way, it really is. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be about power and money or anything else. It should be about helping people to stay healthy in the first place, and then to heal when they're not. That's why I wrote the book in the first place. And as many of you know, I wrote this book on airplanes and in hotel rooms, basically traveling around the country talking to people about cancer and what works for it and what doesn't. And so that's where the first edition of the book came from. And then we updated to a much more current edition of the book with the second edition. And that first edition came out in 2009 or 2010, the second edition in 2011 or 12. I don't remember exactly. And then this third edition came out in about 2014 or so. Wow. I think, because it's been out for 5 years, and I know there's a bunch of people impatient with me on the website because it says announcing the new third edition, and we've been doing that for about 5 years. Sorry about that, folks, but I know you'll get over that. And but to many people, it was new. It was new. It's been new right up till today, because people don't know until they get into this book what's inside of it. They don't know that it's going to help them. They may think, well, this is just another one of those cancer books. But I can tell you that it's not. And this isn't just me talking because I like the book, and I do like the book, but I like it because it's usable. It becomes a tool for people with cancer. It becomes a cancer Bible, and many people have said that, because it is something that they're able to utilize. And it's not just for cancer, it's for all chronic illness, because I would do basically the same thing, because I have taken sickness and disease, whether it's chronic illness or whatever, and we've been able to walk it backwards and find out what the causative factors are. And because of that, we're able to know and understand what sickness and disease is, and hence we know what to do for it. And that is exactly what has happened in this book, and what it has happened with the treatment of cancer today, at least the treatments that actually work for people. And that's what's in this book. And I know that to be a fact because thousands of people have written and told us so. And so this isn't something that is speculative. This is something that actually works if you want to follow it. And so we did the third edition in 2014 and carried it on. And then I worked really hard over time. It's just so hard to get into a book and complete it, especially when you're doing an update, and a significant update, I might say, that you just can't sit down and take 5 or 10 minutes a day or 20 minutes a day. And when you're busy counseling cancer patients all day and doing the other work associated with the American Anti-Cancer Institute and the International Wellness and Research Center, it gets difficult to do. but we slowed down a little bit towards the last quarter of the year, and it enabled me to really sit down and dive into this. And I did, and I understood more of what an undertaking it was going to be if I wanted to get as much as possible updated and current. And actually, you know that I did. And so we were able to do many different things. You'll see quite a few things that are the same in here, because these are the things that are not changeable. These are the things that are the real cold hard facts and the die hard truth that is within this book. There are a number of things that we changed, and you and I will go over those, but this was a nice undertaking for me, and not really a break at all, but an opportunity to update this work that people have embraced and seem to like so much.
Absolutely. You know, your third, I know all of your Killing Cancer Not People books have been bestsellers. People will get life-changing results after reading it, make some changes in their lifestyle. And you know, I want to make it really clear, and I know you will too, that we don't claim to cure or heal anything with Bob's book or the American Anti-Cancer Institute or the International Wellness and Research Center. No claims for cures, but what we know is that when you do the right things and put the right nutrition in your body, take those 5 steps that I want you to go over real briefly for the new people that are coming aboard. When you do that, your body is miraculous. It knows what to do when given the right nutrition and water and all of those things. And so our bodies are the miracle. Also, I think, Bob, that one of the things that the International Wellness and Research Center has done is talk also about prevention, because what you have in this book is also what's going to help prevent disease for people. You know, why wait for the diagnosis? It's ridiculous to do that. You want to speak on that?
Well, it really is the answer. I mean, I say it all the time. The real cure is prevention. That's something that we can say involving the cure word. Well, we can do that with Curaderm too, the skin cancer remedy now, because it's basically reversed every single case it's ever been used with. And that was in the 3rd edition. It'll be in the 4th edition as well, because it's very important. The majority of cancers are skin cancers of one type or another.
Right.
But yeah, we need to focus on prevention. But I have to tell you, it's getting harder and harder. And people know that. Inherently, they know it. I mean, we're bombarded daily with Wi-Fi and radiation of just about every form. And it's about to get worse, folks. With the new 5G, you have no idea. But please stay in touch with us, because we addressed that in our last newsletter. If you didn't get it, go to the archives and get it. And we're going to address it more as this year goes on, because it's that important. With 2,000 new satellites being launched and 5G on every corner, it's going to be tragic what happens to us. It really is. And so we need to address that. But it's harder and harder. And actually in some of my talks that I'm going to be doing this year, I'm actually going to have that as kind of one of the themes, and people will understand it, because it is getting harder. There will be more people acquiring cancer than the typical 1 in 3 women and 1 in 2 men right now. And there are many people that have it generating in their bodies right now, and they don't know it, and they are going to become victims. And that's why, just exactly what you said, Tracee, prevention is what we need to work on. And we are here at the American Anti-Cancer Institute working on things that we can utilize. When we talk about radiation, we have ways to ameliorate radiation now. And no, it's not a tinfoil hat, although that would help us a little bit. And I think the people that did that back in the 50s and 60s were actually ahead of their time. But there are things that we can utilize, all the way to the carbon-based shungite, and different types of anti-radiation or ameliorating radiation devices that we know that we can utilize today. We can protect whole houses. We can protect our own bodies and our children to a degree. And we need to be able to utilize these. So yes, it's about prevention. It's about changing how we eat. It's about changing the chemicals that we're in touch with on a daily basis. And we address that in the book.
Absolutely. And, you know, when you speak, and I know even in the book itself, you talk about 5 simple steps that people need to take. And the way you frame it is, you know, if you were diagnosed with cancer, what would you do? And you've got these 5 simple steps. You want to just real quickly, because those 5 steps didn't change. Am I right?
They didn't change, but let me preface that by saying that these 5 steps are going to be way too simple for some folks because they're not going to understand it on the surface, and they'll say, well, it's got to be more complex than that. It's got to involve something else. There has to be a pill somewhere. Well, I'm here to tell you that if you take all of these 5 steps, that's your pill.
Absolutely.
And it starts with the right diet. If you don't have the right diet, your chances of healing or staying well, since we're talking about prevention too, go down exponentially. And then you need the right water, the right fluids. Everyone should know that. You need the right supplements, because cancer patients especially, and those with almost all chronic diseases, they either aren't eating right, they're not absorbing right, or getting the right nutrients. So we need supplementation, probably on a daily basis, even when we're well. And then we need to detox our bodies. That's the thing that seems to be basic, but people miss it because they think, well, I don't need that, but they don't know how toxic their bodies are, how toxic their livers are, what their bodies store. And people can utilize our protocols and get better and better and better, and then they stop and they wonder what's going on. And what's going on is their bodies are so toxic and so loaded with heavy metals and pathogens and other things that they just can't get any better from that point forward. It is preventing them from getting better. So detox is important. And the last one is exercise for those who can. And most of us can, even with cancer or even with some other chronic illness, all the way from running and walking and swimming and to doing whole body vibration machines, which I do, and I love it. And I can't tell you how much good that does for me and does for everyone who utilizes these things. So these are the 5 steps. And of course, there are some things that come off of those 5 steps. We don't want to generalize too much because there are some other specific things that dovetail off of supplements or dovetail off of diet. We talk about the ketogenic diet in the new 4th edition of the book. It wasn't in the 3rd edition.
Right. I love it. I love it. He can't wait. So I'm going to give you full bill to do this. But what I want to do is I've put up a couple of times how they can order the 4th edition. But I'm going to go ahead and share this now because as we're talking, Bob, people could be ordering the book. And you need to be, they want to be among the very first to get the very first books, which, by the way, we're doing a pre-sale. The books are available on our website, americanaci.org, as a pre-purchase. And Bob, when do you think the books are going to be, you know, give us a time frame of when you think they'll actually be at print and you'll have them there at the AACI?
Well, we've been thinking April 1st, and that's been our target for quite a while. And the way it's going right now, it could be the last week of March. It could even be before that, but I hesitate to say that because you never know in production and shipping and all of that when we're going to have our fat little hands on those books. And hopefully it is by April 1st or slightly in advance of that.
Well, I told you that I want a book hot off the press out of that first box because that's so important to me, because what you do and what you've written about in this book is, I'm just going to say it, life-changing and life-saving. And we know that that's been verified over and over and over. So I want my hands on an autographed copy of your book. So let's let the people know how they can get an autographed copy of your book. And here's what you want to do, viewers, right now, or as soon as possible. You want to go to the americanaci.org. On the home page, you'll see the new beautiful cover of the new book and order here. And when you order between right now and midnight Eastern time on Tuesday, that's tomorrow, you have all night and all day tomorrow and all night up until midnight on Tuesday Eastern time. Bob, every book that is ordered, he has already promised that he will personally autograph, and you'll be the first to get your book. And that is for people in the United States only. Unfortunately, we're not quite ready to ship to other countries, but hold on tight, because coming up in the next week or so, we'll be ready for you. But United States orders only between now and Tuesday at midnight, and you get an autographed copy. And guys, don't just order one, order 5 or 6 of those books, because you want to be able to give them to family members, people that you love and care about, and make sure that this book gets in the hands of everyone, because everyone is being touched by cancer right this minute. And if it's not happening in your household, as Bob said, it will. It's just a fact of life. So you've got to be prepared. You've got to have your ammunition in place, and this is the ammunition you need. So Bob, a 3rd edition, it had everything. It was amazing. But you mentioned that you've added some things. So why don't you take the next few minutes and share anything you want to share about what's coming up in the 4th edition?
Many of our listeners today know what chapter 6 was in the 3rd edition, and chapter 7. Chapter 6 had to do with a special kind of water, as we know. And that chapter has been embellished a little bit, you might say. And chapter 7, the same thing. The nutrition supplement chapter. Those who know what it is know what I'm talking about. So they're 6 and 7 again in the next book, but they've been embellished a little bit. And they're good chapters. They were good chapters anyway. And they're very important chapters, because these are 2 of the primary things, the most important things that we recommend to people. And they need to know, they absolutely need to know what these are. And we've embellished and gone a little bit further in certain areas on these chapters. And so please look at those. And we know that the people that are involved with those individual products that we're talking about know what those are, and will go right there when they get their books, of course. And so those are, we had to mention those specifically because they're so important to what we do, and we truly believe in what's in those chapters. What else have we done? Well, people like testimonials. I do. I love them. And I know that people that have cancer love them as well, because they want to find out what other people who have what they have done. And so we've got many new testimonials. We've got updates on testimonials. In other words, some of the older testimonials in the 3rd chapter, we went out and found those people and found out how they're doing, and we've updated. And that's always great. People want to know that. I want to know that, gee, someone followed your protocol, and here 5 years, 6 years later, they're still doing well. That's what I want. And you should want that. Absolutely. And so we've updated those. We've updated the testimonials about the book itself in the front of the book. We've had some very gracious people who have written testimonials on the book itself, because it helps people. Why wouldn't you? And so we need people to see those as well. We have a new forward from a new doctor, and it's always great to get kudos from doctors, is it not? Especially when we're doing things that are not allopathic. They're not conventional medical ways. And so for doctors to climb on board, and let me tell you, thousands have, then this really means something, and it gives it real veracity too, to know that we're doing what is right, we're doing what is true, we're doing what is steeped in science, and some really good doctors understand that, and they endorse what we're doing. So that's really important. We have a brand new chapter in the book, and the new chapter had to be written. The story had to be told, because we had been bombarded for several years and had been studying marijuana and hemp and the oils associated with them. And I think that people are going to like this chapter, because it's something that I could relate to, because I had grown up, in the 50s and 60s. I had been down in just passed through Haight-Ashbury and Grant Street in San Francisco, during the, after the summer of love, when everything was going on down there. And so I grew up in that era. So I knew that, what was going on at that time with marijuana that has 30 or 40 different names, but also contrasting it and comparing it to hemp. It's a very interesting story, and there's some very great science behind this. And so these products are steeped in science. But you know what? I think that we're forced to make a choice. And I'm not going to tell you any more about that chapter, but I think that we really dug deep into it. And people need to know this. They need to know the truth regarding these substances and what they do for people with cancer and everything else. And so that's a chapter you're going to want to dig into as well. Brand new chapter. I think you're going to like it.
Absolutely.
And we talk about other things. Like I said earlier, we're going to talk about the ketogenic diet because people want to know, what is this ketogenic diet? What are ketones? What happens when my body goes into ketosis? All important things. And what is, how do ketones relate to diabetics? Because we hear of ketoacidosis for diabetics, and that's not a good thing, actually. And so we do all these comparisons, and we give people the science and the facts behind the ketogenic diet. And I actually was on one for 9 days a short time ago, and thinking on going on another type of ketogenic diet, because you know me, I like to try everything that I recommend. I like to know what is involved with it. So we talk about that. We expand on supplements in the new book. I mean, some of them are really still so good they have to remain in this book. But we have some new ones in there. And we talk more about silver and another type of silver, pico silver. We talk about pico magnesium. We talk about the things that are absolutely critical and necessary for cancer patients, certainly, but also for all of us, because we're all deficient in things like magnesium and iodine and things like this. Some people still don't know that silver kills almost every pathogen known to man, but you want to make sure you get it in the right form. We talk about those things. And we talk about some things that are kind of out there. They've been out there, but now they're coming inside. And so these are things that I'm probably not going to say the names of right now, but they'll be interesting. I can guarantee you'll be interested in these. And so we talk about essential oils too. Did I say that?
Oh, no, you didn't.
Well, some people would think that, oh, I'm looking at my essential oils right behind me here. People will think, well, essential oils are nice, but for cancer, for other things, and I can look them in the eye and say, well, yeah. And here's the reason. We have known for millennia that God gave us plants. God gave us plants to eat, plants to pull our medicines from. And where do essential oils come from?
Plants.
Plants. They come from plants. So doesn't it make sense that we can utilize them for not only for health and well-being, but also when we're sick, whether we have cancer or any other type of chronic illness, it would make sense that we can utilize these at the same time. So we talk about those. We talk about GC-MAF. Most of you won't know about this glycoprotein and how it's related to cancer and how it's related to healing, but we talk about it. And, we've talked about before in our newsletter and on these talks about, over the last couple of years, 70 or 80 doctors have mysteriously died. And many of these were working on GC-MAF, folks, this glycoprotein. And so, no, they didn't ingest them and all of a sudden die. There's more to this story, and we tell a little bit more of the story and why this is important.
Yeah, I love it. And, you just teased us so much with the new things that are coming up. But our goal isn't to tease and not give people the information. But, when you have to get the book, because there's no possible way that you and I could share everything that's in this book in one 30-minute interview, or even people need that in their homes. They need to be able to reference it. They need to be able to go in there and dig in. And if we we definitely want you to grab the book so that you can be educated. It's our only hope. We perish for lack of knowledge, and literally people are perishing because they don't have this knowledge. It blew me away, Bob, because a lot of times you and I, and even the people that are part of this Facebook group, we're kind of preaching to the choir. We already know this stuff and we take it for granted. But just the other day, I was talking to a woman, and I mentioned that I, am in wellness and I'm affiliated with you, and she is dealing with just something as simple as acid reflux, which plagues thousands and millions probably of people, and even our babies being born with acid reflux. And she said, "What should I do? It's awful." She's taking, the over-the-counter drugs and all of that, and she's aware of the side effects. And I said, well, I gave her one little simple tip, and she's like, and she did it, and she came back. She goes, I cannot believe that changing this one simple thing has affected me so dramatically. Do you mean by what I eat actually affects the acid reflux? Now, to you and I, that's a no-brainer. Mm. But people need this education. They're dying out there. And it was a blessing to be able to meet her. And she was just crying when we left, going, oh my God, you've changed my life. So
absolutely. That is such a great feeling when you're able to help someone. And some of these things are just so straightforward and simple. Some of these things are old time remedies that got lost somewhere. I talk about turpentine in the new book. You're going to like that one. I can guarantee it. But please don't make this mistake. If you're listening today, don't make the mistake of believing that this is just a book about cancer. You don't have cancer, so you don't need it. This is a book about cancer, anti-cancer. It is a book about heart disease. It's a book about diabetes. It's a book about neurodegenerative diseases. It's a book about fibromyalgia and lupus and autoimmune diseases, and rheumatoid arthritis and arthritis. It's a book about acid reflux, as you just stated, and about everything else you can imagine. You probably would never understand some of the questions that I've gotten over the years from people asking, well, okay, I know you do cancer, but what about this? Some of them were really eye-openers, folks, I can tell you. But yeah. We have solutions. And if we don't have the solution, which is possible, but we've been pretty good at it so far, we'll find it for you. I believe that for everything that you have seen, every sickness, every disease, everything you take drugs for, or antibiotics, or have surgery for, or something else, we can find something that is natural that will work for you and probably work better and have no side effects. But having said that, I have to tell you that sometimes we know that surgery is necessary. And sometimes we know that drugs are necessary. Yes. Heck, if I get in a bad auto accident, I can tell you I want drugs when they have to knock me out and do a major operation on me to save my life. So there is a time and a place for just about everything, but we need to be careful with that. And that's what we talk about.
I love it. So what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks and months is every Monday night, maybe we'll take a little section of the book, or we'll educate on some aspect of the book, and share more information. It's a great way for someone who's not quite ready to dig into the book to really pique their interest. So those of you that are listening tonight, you definitely want to join us every Monday night right here live on Facebook at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'll be interviewing Bob, and we'll give you little hints about what we'll be doing in advance so that you'll know. But we will be talking about, again, the 5 steps. I definitely want to go back and Bob and talk about the whole body vibration again, and all of those things that people just don't know about that will impact their lives and impact their health, and that are really simple things that people can do. And I always say this, Bob, too, don't try to do everything all at once. That's when people fail. It becomes too overwhelming. But change one thing a week or one thing a month. At the end of 12 months, now you have 12 changes. And 12 changes will dramatically make an impact on your life. So, Bob, what would you like to say to close us out? And remember, remind them to get the book too.
Well, send us your questions. Send them to Tracee or send them to me, and you can reach me directly at info@americanaci.org. And send us your questions and let us know what you want us to talk about and what you have questions about, because we want to address those things. And they're probably not common to just you. They're probably more common to many of us. And many of us want the answers to those questions. So we're open to that. Send them to Tracee or myself, and we will help you with that. And please help us get the word out. You can do it. A lot of you are social networkers, and we appreciate that. And spread the word and get people to sign up for the newsletter too. I mean, again, it's free. Tell your friends, get them to sign up. It's real easy to do. And get the book and get it as soon as you can. I'm going to be signing a lot of books, I hope.
I hope you do. And you know what, I do want to say this, Bob, we haven't mentioned this in this interview, and I know this went a little long, but it's our first one. What do you expect in a long time? The American Anti-Cancer Institute is a nonprofit, People just don't support nonprofits the way they should, and especially this one. If you're already given to a nonprofit, and maybe take a look at that nonprofit you're giving to, and weigh in as to, you know, the kind of good that Bob and the AACI is doing, and maybe you want to shift some funds our way, because being a monthly supporter would dramatically change the AACI. No amount too small. And, you know, it is the sale of the book that has funded the AACI for all of these years. Without these book sales, the AACI cannot exist. And Bob does so much of the work, almost all of the work, and taking no money compensation for himself. And so we really need to make sure that this book gets sold. It's worth it. It's worth every penny. He didn't even raise the price. I don't know if you allowed the board to vote on that or not, or you just made that decision. Actually, I do know that you didn't allow the board to make any say on that, because you're so kind-hearted, and this mission is so important. But we are a nonprofit. We need you to buy 1 book, 2 books, 4 books, and get the word out. This is going to help the AACI in 2019. Get your signed autographed copy. We will not allow, you know, we're not going to have anytime soon. This is it. Between now and Tuesday night at midnight, you better get busy and get that book so Bob can sign it. Thanks again, Bob, for being my guest tonight. We'll share more next Monday night. Thank you again, everyone that joined us tonight. Bye, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye, Bob.
Goodbye.